I'm Graham.
And I'm Corinne.
And we're too talented.
Welcome back to the show. This is episode 3.
Yeah.
Episode 3. And what is our topic today, Graham?
We're going to be talking about professional networking.
Networking. It's a big one. That's a very important one.
A lot of people, I think, dread when they hear networking, like, oh God, like I can't go network. And I think we're going to give you some tips in this episode to know that it really is nothing more than a conversation. And a conversation with probably someone you already know. And we'll try to kind of get rid of some of the awkwardness that comes from it.
Cool. All right. So want to give a couple of quick updates on each of our own kind of personal and professional lives. What's been going on with you lately, Graham? And how is it going with Stride staffing?
It's good. I've had a whole bunch of meetings. It's amazing how many people have been willing to talk, which has been wonderful. And I picked up my first job orders last week. So I am working on a civil construction project manager for a client of mine. And so it's a little bit outside of my normal wheelhouse, but I really enjoy learning about new things. And this has been learning a lot of different things that I didn't know in the past. So it's been pretty exciting.
All right. So speaking of networking, if you're listening to this podcast and you know anyone in civil project management,
yes,
let Graham know.
Please let me know.
What are the high level? So yeah, we have a job for you potentially if you fit that skill set. Are there any specific, like, just top line requirements that you can throw out here?
Yeah, so it's going to be working in a remote environment. So anyone who has worked in a remote environment in the past.
Wait, not remote, like from home.
Yeah, like in the middle of nowhere.
Okay, like in the field, like on a job site.
Correct. It's in Idaho, but in a place that no one's ever heard of, and a place that gets 20 feet of snow a year, has lots of trees, might have a Yeti or two. I mean, it's in the middle of nowhere.
Okay, so they have to be willing to work on site at this remote location?
Yes, and it's like 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off,
okay.
Where you would go back to wherever you live full time, and there are like living quarters at the place you'll be working.
And then OSHA certification, what are the requirements?
Yeah, OSHA certification. It will be at a mine site, so anyone who's familiar with MSHA would be a plus. Anybody who's kind of overseen earth moving, water mitigation, snow removal, those are kind of the main things that this will do in the beginning.
Okay, nice. All right, so let us know if you have any. Congrats on the job order.
Thank you. I'm excited. What's going on with you professionally?
Just busy, I guess. The feed work is quite busy. It's the middle of the Tour de France, and that's a big 4 weeks for us as a company in terms of sales and promotions and marketing stuff. And then it's also the peak and the kind of the smack dab in the middle of race season. So, lot of people racing, keeping up with results of folks, but I was at, as we talked about, Western and then Hardrock to support athletes, and then also just doing all of the other things that I'm doing with my other podcast, Silverton Uncovered, and Women Can. We have an exciting design series coming out soon, and continue to coach athletes and just try to juggle it all. And the kids are about to go back to school.
Yes. Thank God. And you raced.
Yeah, I raced the Silverton Alpine 50K this past weekend. I don't know when people are listening to this, but it was like July, what was it? I don't know, 19th, something like that. Yeah, July 19th. And yeah, it went really well. I won the race and I was 6th overall. Pretty happy with my time. Wish it was just a few minutes faster because I was going for a course record, but all things considered, it was a good day.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's great. And I'm starting to ramp up my training for Run Rabbit 100. There's a little ambiguity of whether or not I'm in that race, but I'm going to ramp up anyway until I hear otherwise. So I'm starting to do some long days in the mountains. So it's fun. It's a really, fun time to, spend 3-4 hours in the mountains.
Yeah. Run Rabbit Run 100, September in Steamboat Springs. We've been there before. Both of us have attempted and not completed the race. So this is going to be the year of the 100-mile completion for you.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to it.
Okay.
So yeah, let's dive into kind of the main topic of the episode, which is professional networking. So, I think we talked last week about how to apply for the job and things and steps to take afterwards. But there are still times where, online applications right now are really hard, right? So I think the people getting response on online applications, I would guess, is at an all-time low. There's a lot of people out there who are looking. There's a lot of people who are applying for jobs that maybe not qualified for, and it's creating these giant lists of candidates for hiring managers and recruiters to go through. So here's a way to kind of step around the online application process, which is networking. So I had an interesting story, and this actually was the thing that made me think that we should do an episode on this. But a friend of mine was job seeking, and he kind of got after it over a 2-week period. He applied to 30 roles and all online, and literally heard crickets, nothing. So he started to kind of think through, he had been a recruiter in the past. He was like, well, what should I be doing? And he was like, you know what? I'm just going to start inviting people out for coffee. So he invited 3 hiring managers out for coffee, talked to them about what he was trying to do. And after 3 networking sessions, so to speak, he was in an interview process and landed a job.
Were these hiring managers, do you know, that had open jobs?
He had no idea. They were just people that he knew.
Okay.
Yep, that were in the industry.
That's an important point.
Yep.
Yeah.
You don't have to, you don't need to be seeking out people that have jobs that are posted or anything like that. A lot of jobs never get posted. Mm-hmm. So those are the types of roles that you can get through networking. And I was looking it up this morning, and there was an interesting statistic. About 70% of people get their job through their professional network. And that's a huge amount. I mean, that's more than 2/3 of people get their job, not from applying online, not from going through a recruiter, all the ways that you would think people would get jobs, but they do it through networking.
Yeah. And a lot, I think this is probably something that people understand is a reality. If you just talk to, friends of yours, how did you get this job? Because I know somebody, because I knew somebody, because somebody connected me to somebody else. And so that is a super common thing. I think I would say, like, don't stop applying and just go this route. Like, what we're trying to do is give multiple tools and ways for you to find the best job. And so just like anything else, it's putting in, like, or going about it and using a number of different, like, quivers in your arsenal or whatever to find the job and get connected with the people that are going to be decision makers there. So yeah, totally agree. Okay, so how do we start with kind of that networking aspect? And I guess one other point is just that this is something that is, like, doesn't come naturally to everyone. But I think that if you're in a job seeking mode, you kind of have to just turn on your sales brain and think of yourself as, I am selling myself and my skill set right now. And therefore, like, I might need to do some things that are a bit uncomfortable for me in order to kind of make that happen.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think a lot of people you'll talk to will say to themselves, or say to other people, I don't sell myself well. Well, that's okay. You don't have to sell yourself well or think of yourself as that. One thing you could be doing beforehand is thinking through, what do you do well in your job? Because everybody does something well. So I think writing those things down, 1, is a confidence builder to you. And 2, you can reference back to when someone asks you, what are you looking for? You can kind of use those as kind of talking points of what you're good at and what you want to be doing next professionally.
Yeah. And even maybe create a short elevator pitch that kind of you can have on demand in your mind that, literally you're in an elevator with somebody. They say, oh, what do you do? I'm looking for a role right now. I'm kind of targeting this, and this. You never know who you might run into in any social situation. So,
absolutely.
Okay, how do we start? What's the first step in effectively networking?
Yeah, I think the easiest thing to do, and you can do it from anywhere as long as you have your computer or your phone, is go into your first connections on LinkedIn. Most people are on LinkedIn who are professionally. If you're not, I definitely recommend it just because it's a good way to kind of get seen out there by the market overall. But go in your LinkedIn first connections and start to identify the people that you're already connected with. Maybe it's through work or socially or whatever, however you're connected to them. And try to find people that are in the same space that you want to be in. So if you're a software developer looking for other software developers, doesn't need to be a manager. They can make an introduction to the manager. It could be even someone junior to you who would be make an introduction, or it's working for a company that you're interested in, or let's say you're in marketing. So finding somebody else in the marketing space who you can just talk to. So I think that's the first step, is identifying people that you would like to reach out to.
I would say maybe even thinking about, and if you're not on LinkedIn, because some people aren't, you could look through your phone, just wherever you have your contacts.
Yep.
Think about people you've worked with in the past at other companies. Maybe kind of look at where they're at now. But anyone who knows you and your professional skill set, that you have either worked with or had some kind of connection to, just start thinking about those names.
And other ones that you can be thinking about: someone who used to be a client of yours in some form or fashion, a vendor that you've used in the past can be very powerful, especially if it's like a salesperson who might be connected to a lot of people in the space that you're interested in. So really get creative with who you're thinking about really talking to.
Yeah, managers you worked with that thought highly of you, that people that I would say even like people you hired potentially in the past, that don't, you're not working at the same company. And then also, like you're saying, those social networks, like you never know, if using running as an example, you're running club or community or other organizations that you're part of, there are probably people working in lots of various industries, and they might be somehow connected, and you just have never really asked, oh, you work for which company?
For sure.
I know you at our local book club or at our monthly book club, but I don't know what you do for a living. And just asking, like, who are you working for, or kind of looking up those people and seeing maybe if they have a connection.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so we've identified the people. Now what do we do?
Yeah, so once you've identified those people, I would, write out a list. And you can write a list on your phone and computer, by hand, however you prefer to do it. And then start to reach out to people. And you can do it very, very simply. Hey, I'm, in the market for a new opportunity, and I wanted to see if you might grab coffee with me to share any advice that you might have. As simple as that. Mm-hmm. Because one, people like to share advice, and you're asking for help, and people like to help. So a lot of times people are just on face value, even if they don't feel like they have anything to add, will still meet you for coffee. And then you never know where that conversation goes.
Yeah, I think that's good. Also, I think, it kind of made me think of just approaching it with, we talk about, like, just to bring back to running, like having this curiosity mindset of, I'm curious about what I could do at this distance. Like, you can also bring that into this, where you say, I'm curious about what's going on at this company.
Yeah.
Like, I want to learn more about what the initiatives are and like what's happening at this company, because it seems interesting to me. And so reaching out to somebody and just saying, hey, I'd love to learn a little bit more about this company. I think a lot of people are receptive to that, and they do want to share. And that's a really kind of soft intro to you learning about maybe that is or isn't the right environment or the right stage in the organizational development process for you to be part of, but like just literally learning about what's going on within some of the companies in this industry is, I think, another approach you could take.
Absolutely. So I think one of the things that you'll want to do when you start, let's say you sit down to coffee with this person, try to avoid jumping straight into this. However you know them, whether it's through a social activity, a book club, they're a family member, a friend of a friend, try to use however you know this person as a way to start, kind of warm up the conversation. So like, let's say it's a running friend, I might sit down and ask, hey, what's your next race and how's training going? And I haven't seen you in a few weeks, what's been going on? Really try to start it with kind of an icebreaker in a different topic. That way it kind of warms the conversation up. And then once you get to a natural point, and it can even be, you can talk to them about something personal or whatever for 20 minutes. It's not a big deal unless you're really pressed for time. So have some patience and allow the conversation to kind of progress. So there's usually a natural point in the conversation where whatever topic you let as an icebreaker kind of lulls. And that's when you can lead into, what is your skill set? Make sure that they are very familiar with what you do. If you're, in marketing, if you're in operations, if you're a program manager, anything like that, kind of give them a sense on some of the things that you've done. And maybe they already know, maybe it's a business contact, but making sure that they're very familiar with what you do. And then once you get kind of done with that, you can just ask them, hey, who do you know who might be interested in my background, either with your company or someone else that you know professionally? I think are good ways to kind of lead into that discussion and see where the discussion goes. I think there's going to be, 50 to 75% of the time, the person may not have a job. Or they may not really know, but just start having a conversation. You just don't know where that conversation's going. Maybe they got reached out to by a recruiter 2 weeks ago about a job that you might be a fit for, that they can then tell you about and offer an introduction to that recruiter. Maybe they were at a networking event themselves and heard about a job that they can share with you. So those are all things that can happen during that conversation. But I think it's a bit of a numbers game. So having, a number of these coffee meetings, and it doesn't have to be coffee. It could be over lunch. It could be over a beer. It could be over any way you want to do it. But I think it is a bit of a numbers game.
Yeah. And I think you never know too, even if there's nothing that comes directly from that meeting, you never know what could happen in the future. And to your point, the next bullet on this is kind of keeping track of those meetings and following up.
Yep.
And that's huge. It's huge in not only, everything that we do professionally of kind of closing the loop and doing the whole process, but it's huge here because, you're staying in front of that person, you're keeping yourself top of mind. And, that next week they may have something pop up, or they may decide as a hiring manager themselves, actually, like, I could use that person's skill set, and therefore I'm going to go try to get approval for a job, for a new job, kind of creating your own job. So following up on that, and I can't tell you the number of times that, not in recruiting settings necessarily, well, they're also, but in other settings professionally right now, people pitching me on, we'd like the feed to sponsor this event or this something. And I respond with, yeah, I'd love to talk. And then I don't hear anything else. It's like, well, do you actually, want to work with us or not? And right. It's almost like, wow, that was just a lost opportunity for that person because they got the meeting, they showed, we showed interest, etc. And so the following up piece, is critical.
Absolutely. The next thing is finding community groups that are maybe within a skill set that you're interested in or you already work in that you can attend. So one of the networking groups that I attend is a Java users meetup group because it's in the space that I recruit in.
You're not a Java user.
I'm not a Java user. No, I don't even know what the syntax might look like. But I like to go and learn more about this event. I can tell people when I have a job, I can tell a group of 40 people, hey, I have this developer job, and then they can hear what I've got going on so that they can do some networking themselves. I can hear about who's on the market looking. I can hear about what's the newest thing coming out with Java. I can really get a kind of sense, and it's good. Over a year period, which I've been going there, I've gotten to know a lot of these people very well. And I think I can probably ask them if I were to get a job, I could ask any one of them if they would make an introduction to somebody in that space. So it's a great place. It's also like if it's something that you're very familiar with, it can be a very comfortable place to go meet people because let's say you are a Java user, you're going to go there and you're going to be able to talk about something you know a ton about. And that makes it a lot easier to have discussions with people and a lot of commonality.
Yeah. So something I heard from that is that you as you're a software developer and a Java user want to go to these events, not only to communicate with your peers and talk about your craft or your language or whatever, but there also oftentimes are recruiters there or other people that might be beneficial in helping you find a job or hire someone for your team. So there's it's kind of multifaceted as to who attends these networking groups.
Yep.
And then also, you can go the digital route of finding groups on LinkedIn.
Yep.
There's a groups tab on LinkedIn, and there's probably a group for any single subject topic. We know that there are executive athlete communities. There are executive running communities. There are, probably every single niche, like project management. There's HVAC technician groups where you're discussing things going on in the industry, and it's a forum to network digitally with peers and people in the space. So also join a lot of those, follow those, and get involved and engage.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, don't just join, engage with it, because it's so easy to just look through there and be like, oh, I don't see anything that would be of interest for me from a job search perspective. Post on there that you're looking for a new role.
Yeah.
Post on there, like for me, if it was like an executives running group, maybe I would talk about a little bit of the running stuff that I've done, post a couple times, then post that I was looking for a new opportunity, so people kind of see my authenticity. I'm not just in there spamming it with looking for a job. I'm really trying to engage with the group overall.
Yeah. And I would say there's also probably other kind of community groups that exist outside of LinkedIn. Something that comes to mind right now is, Slack communities that sometimes I'll reference like Free Trail. They created Second Nature podcast, which is more about business, but they created a community Slack channel where there's a lot of industry professionals in that essentially it's a Slack group in that Slack channel. And there's a ton of networking going on in there. And so looking also outside of that, just like, okay, this is my area of interest, or this is my area of expertise. Let me just search for forums essentially that exist that I can be part of.
Absolutely. Yeah. So we've covered in-person. One place to look up in-person groups is meetup.com. That's how I found the Java users group. I've seen another couple ones on there. So that's a way you can join online and then go in person.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And then the last one that I would check out, and this was kind of interesting, but there is a local group in our town. We live in Castle Rock, Colorado, called Castle Rock Talk. And it's just, usually it's a bunch of rando stuff like, hey, look what happened in front of my house the other day.
Is it like watercolor or water?
Kind of.
What's it called?
Watercolor. Well, that's ours.
No, but what's that thing called that?
I know what you're talking about. It's not going to come.
It's like a Facebook group.
Yeah, it's like a Facebook. This is a Facebook group.
Okay, all right, it's a Facebook group.
Yeah, so you get, a lot of times also...
A neighbor. Oh, I'll find it. Okay, all right.
So a lot of times people will post on there like, what's going on in I-25 today? And, traffic's terrible. So, it's all kinds of stuff like that. But what I noticed the other day was someone posted on there, hey, I'm really struggling finding a job. This is my skill set. And I'm trying to stay in the Castle Rock area. And I was floored by the response. Like, I bet there's probably 5,000 people on there in total. They got like 100 responses. I have a job doing, what you're doing. And I think it was like an administrator or like a executive admin or something along those lines. And but there was like 5 or 6, looked like legitimate people who were saying, hey, can you send me a resume? I need someone like you. So going what I'm calling a hyper local. So trying to go into, forums that are in your town, places where people are having discussions, and put something there about what you do, what you're looking for. Because if it's anything like what happened in our town, it was a pretty overwhelming response to this person. So yeah, I that's kind of my last piece of advice is don't hesitate to get hyper local.
Yeah. I think it's next door, and then fill in the blank on the neighborhood or whatever. There's a lot of not great stuff on those, and gossip but there's also, to your point, and maybe just being observant and maybe just joining those and checking them every now and then to see is there something that's relevant or interesting coming up in there?
For sure. I think part of the reason there's so much engagement there is because of the gossipy nature of the thing.
Yeah.
So I think you're going to get a lot of active users who are looking, but if you hit it at the right time, you may get some response.
Yeah. And to your point of people wanting to help and share information, sometimes if you just put out on, 5 or 6 different places, like, this is who I am, this is what I'm looking for. You never know where that's going to go. And people are, tend to want to share leads or information, or, just help if they can. So don't hesitate to kind of just put yourself out there and try to just make it visible that you are on the job market, or that you're looking to hire somebody.
Absolutely.
If you put out there that you're looking to hire somebody and this is the skill set, you're probably going to get a ton of responses.
Yes, for sure.
There's a lot of people always looking, but I think the hyper local, and some of those people also, there's just, I think, nature of like, I want to help somebody who is in my neighborhood, in my town,
right?
That kind of thing, or somebody that I know. So I think that's great.
Yeah, absolutely. So what we'll do is we will add this transcript as well as some templates that you can use to reach out to your network. We'll put it on our Patreon, the Too Talented podcast on our Patreon. So those will be there if you want to check that out. If you are in a hiring capacity and you are hiring and you need someone like me to be looking for you, Stride Staffing is our websites we have a link on the Patreon. We have a LinkedIn page, so check us out there. What else?
Yeah. I think the big takeaway is just start talking to people.
Yeah.
You never know when that's going to lead to something, but just kind of stay the course. And, if you're not a super extroverted social person, maybe make it a goal of, trying to talk to one person a day.
Yes.
Via either digital or in person or over the phone. Kind of set those little micro goals for yourself, because, like, to your point, the volume piece of just having X amount of outreaches is eventually going to lead to something. So maybe set those goals during your job search to connect with one additional person and try to talk to one person or something like that.
Yeah. So many people put goals out like, I want to apply to this many jobs a day. And I definitely think you should do that. And I think this should be an and also you are, sending notes to this many people who maybe not have a job for a networking call, meeting, etc.
Yeah. And this is, not, I think I was just going to say, like, it isn't necessarily always like you get an immediate, response and immediate positive feedback on it. You kind of have to play the long game, but you're also thinking about trying to work a little bit smarter than harder, in really just sitting down and thinking about, like, who do I know?
Right.
Who do I know, and how can they connect me? I mean, the number of times that I've just had people send me a resume and it's like, okay, I have it now. I'm going to keep that person in mind if I hear of anything that's coming up. And you never know when they will. Someone sent me a resume for a job at the feed at the company I work for 6 months ago. Passed it along. Didn't really think anything was going to come from it. Found out the person just got hired. It actually, you never know. And you, also kind of, I don't know, you even referring other people, like, there have been times I've checked references and talked to managers, and in that conversation had them tell me, I'm actually kind of looking. If you hear of anything, let me know, so, like, it's just always kind of be open to sharing your sentiments and your skill set, and kind of always be selling yourself if you're in this situation.
Absolutely. Well, if you like what we're doing here, please subscribe. And if you give us a podcast rating, please give us 5 stars, because I think we deserve it. I really do.
Yeah, I mean, we're really trying to help out and be a resource. So let us know how we can help you. Questions you have, join the Patreon. We would really appreciate it. And share the podcast with someone else.
Absolutely. Anything else?
That's it. We'll see you next time.
Thanks so much.